I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. We are being broadcast live over YouTube and cable TV channel 12. Clerk, could you please call the roll? Deputy Clerk.
Trustee Frazier.
Here.
Trustee Kelly.
Here.
Trustee Boynton.
Here.
Trustee Martin.
Here.
Treasurer Bud.
Here.
Supervisor McNamara. You have a quorum.
Clerk Wright is excused.
Clerk Wright's excused.
Thank you. Executive summary of the agenda. Tonight, we're having a board action that we're bringing on at the last minute. We're going to be seeking approval of a manual meter read fee per quarter for any non-compliance with the mandatory water meter replacement program. The cost of the fee will be $72 and will be added to the bill. So if you don't have a new meter and you're not calling us, call us. Consent agenda today consists of board meeting minutes, election inspector payroll, prepaid lists, voucher list, a senior transportation fee schedule, and the reappointments of Amos Grissett and John Haas to the BZA with terms to expire December 1st, 2026. The new business includes discussion on the PSA for Marilyn Belusky, discussion on the grant agreement in the amount of $1.8 million dedicated to the Iron Belt Trail Project, and discussion on a 3-year contract with AquaSite Intelligent Water Solutions in the amount of $35,000. Discussion will also be discussed on a proposal from O'Donnell Electric to install a fire alarm system at the Township Hall and Police Department. The discussion we'll also have a discussion on a proposal from Wade Trim for the completion of a Safe Streets and Roads for All Comprehensive Act Plan, a grant we received, and discussion on agreement with Wade Trim for a Safe Streets for All Safe Streets and Roads for an action plan in the amount of $481,900. Moving forward, we're going to the next item, which is approval of the revised agenda. Can I get a motion?
To the super.
I make a motion that we approve the amended agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion by Treasurer Bud, support by Trustee Frazier. Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This motion passes. Next item is adoption of the consent agenda.
Through the chair,
Okay, go ahead.
I move that we accept and approve the consent agenda, which contains the following: board meeting minutes of November 7th and election inspector payroll of November 7th, the prepaid lists of November 9th and 16th, the voucher list of November 21st, all of 2023, resolution 2023-35, the 2024 senior transportation fee schedule, and the reappointments of Amos Grissett and John House to the Board of Zoning Appeals with terms to expire December 1st, 2026.
Okay. Treasurer Bud. Consent agenda, hearing no discussion. I have a motion by Trustee Boynton. I have support by Treasurer Bud. Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? This motion passes. Next item is correspondence, announcements, and presentations. Does anybody have any from the board? Does anybody from the public have any announcements? Only one I have to make is Go Tigers. Belleville's playing for their third one, right? Three-peat this Saturday. Saturday? Is it night?
Saturday, 7 p.m.
7 o'clock at night, yeah. Yeah, I think that it's on TV at Egan's and the bait shop, so they're able to get it. Okay, so, anybody else? Okay. All right. Next item is public comment. If there's anybody from the public that wishes to make comment today on any of the items that are on the agenda, please speak now. Do you have anybody online that has a comment?
No, Supervisor.
Much. Moving on, we have no unfinished business. Item number 1 is discussion and to consider approval of a manual meter read fee per quarter. Excuse me. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair, I make sure we approve the personal service agreement between Mary Limbolowski and the township and authorize the supervisor and the clerk to execute the agreement.
Support.
You said the meter, she said.
See discussion on new business number 1.
You said the meter, and then she said the personal service agreement. So which one do you want to do?
What's this?
Yes, I'm sorry. That's what I thought I heard you say. Okay, so you're making, not yet. You're making it this one. There's a revised agenda out.
Oh, I had that as line item number 7. Sorry.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, but that's okay.
Okay. All right. You amend it to, would you amend your,
I did amend the agenda. I just had it on mine as number 7, and you had it number 1.
could you amend your motion to approve
To
the
do the-
manual meter reader fee?
What are we doing here?
This one.
Oh. Yeah, I do. Do you
Okay.
want me to read it again? Approve of the manual meter read fee per quarter for noncompliance with the mandatory water meter replacement program in the amount of $92.
Thank you. And trustee Frazier?
72. She said 92.
You approve the, okay. All right. Director,
Good evening.
going on at the last second, it does happen, so. But you'll know why in a few minutes while we're doing this. Go ahead.
2021, the township began implementing a mandatory water meter replacement program. The intent of the program was to upgrade and modernize water meters, allowing us to obtain more precise readings remotely, alert residents of potential leaks, and to ensure accuracy in billing for water usage. Due to supply shortages, the program was placed on hold for several months. In the summer, the township received the delayed parts, and at this time, the program was resumed. Since late summer, the township's contractor, PMI, has been working on installing meters in residential homes throughout the township and has completed approximately 85% of the residential homes. There are approximately 1,000 homes in the township which have not yet scheduled their water meter replacement. Residents have been asked to call and schedule their meter replacement voluntarily. Both PMI and the township have issued several mailings to homes as well as pursued a social media marketing campaign to encourage people to schedule their meter replacements. We are currently fully booked until the end of the month. However, we need to continue our outreach efforts and avoid having the contractors demobilize from the site. And in order to do so, we need to take additional measures for the remaining water meters to try to get them scheduled. One of those additional measures is the installation of a manual water reading fee. The majority of the water meters which have not been replaced are required to be read manually by township staff. In order to recover our costs for this service, we are recommending that the Township Board authorize a fee for these manual reads effective January 1st, 2024, and as specified, that fee is $72. This fee would be placed on the quarterly water bill and would be removed from the bill when the water meter is scheduled for replacement. As a reminder, these water meters are replaced at no cost to the homeowner. That cost is borne by the township. The $72 fee, in order to calculate it, township staff has worked with our rate consultant to calculate that appropriate fee, which is based on our labor rates, the amount of time it takes to read the meter, and also administrative fees. And that information has been included in the additional submitted items. As we specified before, this fee would be removed from the bills once the water meter replacement is scheduled with the homeowner. Again, we sincerely apologize for the late submission of this agenda item, and I am available to answer any questions the board may have.
Does the board have any questions? So, just to be clear, we don't want your $72 fee. We don't want your money. We want you to call us to get your new meter. And we need you to call now because we're running out of work for our contractor. And should we send our contractor home like we've had to in the past and then call him back, he charges us. And that goes up, so, please call. All right, so I have a motion by Treasurer Bud. I have support by Trustee Frazier. Do I hear any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, discussion on and to consider approval of a personal service agreement between Marilyn Beluski and the township and authorize Super McNamara and Clerk Wright to execute the agreement. Treasurer Bud.
Let's do this one more time. I make a motion to approve the personal service agreement between Mary Lynn Beluski and the township and authorize the supervisor and clerk Wright to execute the agreement.
Support.
I got Boynton over here. All right. Director.
Good evening, Board. So tonight, I am excited to present Ms. Mary Lynn Beluski's personal service agreement for approval for the senior programmer position. We could not be more thrilled at filling this vacancy with Mary Lynn. She wowed us from the start with over 25 years of experience in the field of recreation and senior services. We really put her through the ringer. We had 3 demanding interviews, one of which was a panel interview with representation from the Senior Endowment Committee, the Board of Trustees, Senior Center staff, and Senior Center volunteers. Through that process, we discovered Mary Lynn's kind-hearted demeanor, sense of humor, and passion for senior citizens. 3 of her many qualities that make me feel very comfortable that our seniors will be in very great hands. This is one of my favorite things. She even went undercover to the Senior Center after getting the call for her first interview just to check out our operations and to make sure that they were a good fit. One of the reasons that she stated she was interested in the position was that after her undercover visit, she could see plain as day the board's and also the township's dedication and commitment to our senior citizens. If approved, Mary Lynn will be starting her new position on Monday at Haggerty School Temporary Senior Center. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Just a comment. I was fortunate enough to sit in on that interview, was very impressed. I think she'll be a good match, and she just, she hung there right with us, and she could answer what we needed. Thank you.
Yeah, we recognize that this position gets pulled in a lot of different directions, and that's why, that's why we had such a different interview process with so many different personalities involved that normally wouldn't be in those processes. But thank you very much for choosing us. So, we think you're a pretty big deal around here. All right.
She looks like she has broad shoulders, so she can hold them up.
All right. Anything else? By Treasurer Bud, supported by Trustee Boynton. Hearing no further questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. The motion passes. Thank you. Could you come up and shake hands, because we don't get to see you very often. In fact, we probably are going to want a picture with you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing the job. Applying.
Yeah, we're gonna come down there. She's gonna come up. I guess we'll go down there. We'll go down there.
No, we can be up.
Oh, what do you want us to do?
Just like each other.
We're a together group.
Slide over here.
Somebody's gonna put bunny ears on you. No, you're more important. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was wondering why Mike wasn't here. He was gonna tell us the microphones weren't working. Okay, Dan, could you hit the heat? I assume that's okay, right?
Yes.
All right, moving on to line item number 3, discussion on to consider approval of the grant agreement between the State of Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity and Van Buren Township for $1.8 million dedicated to the Iron Bell Trail.
Through the chair,
Trustee Boynton.
I move that we approve the grant between the State of Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity and Van Buren Township for $1.8 million dedicated to the Iron Bell Trail project.
Support.
Trustee Martin. All right. Director.
Good evening again. So as you know, we have the best people in Lansing fighting for our community's needs, and I'm extremely proud to announce that due to the hard work and determination of a lot of people, but most specifically State Representative Reggie Miller, Van Buren Township will be receiving a grant from the state of Michigan for $1.8 million dedicated to our Iron Bell Trail project. This is a very generous cherry on top of another $10 million allocated to us for the Denton Road Bridge project that was also made possible by Representative Miller. So this grant funding will be between the township and the state of Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity. This $1.8 million combined with funding of an additional $2 million that we've acquired from various sources, such as the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, the DTE Foundation, Denton Road Bridge funding, other sources, Van Buren Township's match. This will allow us to finish the remaining 3.6 miles of Van Buren Township's 6-mile path over the next 4 years. The project team will be working on bidding out a few different sections next year while working through county and state permitting, so stay tuned on that. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time, but we hope that the board considers approval of this grant agreement.
Any questions?
It's good to have friends in high places.
Yeah. All right, no other questions? So I guess I'm going to ask the question that I kind of don't know and know the answer of. Is this going to take us out of Van Buren Park and into the apartments? And is it going to complete that bridge?
Yes, so we'll definitely leverage these funds to complete Section D, which goes from the saddle in Van Buren Park all the way to Pickle Park. So that includes building that bridge through the park.
Yeah, we haven't seen the estimate yet, but yeah.
Go on, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right, any other questions? Okay, I've got a motion by trustee Boynton, supported by trustee Martin. Hearing no further questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. This is actually going to probably have to come back to us again one more time. But next item, discussion on to consider approval of entering into a 3-year contract with AquaSite Intelligent Water Solutions for $35,000. Can I get a motion? Yes.
I move to consider approval to enter into a 3-year contract with AquaSite Intelligent Water Solutions in the amount of $35,000 to be paid from the water and sewer contracted services budget.
Support.
I don't care. Frazier, okay. All right, go ahead.
Good evening. The request before you is to approve a 3-year agreement with AquaSite for a total contract amount of $35,000. This includes an onboarding fee of $20,000 and an annual subscription fee of $5,000. Asset management plans are usually static documents which set a plan for making investments into our utility systems. They use tools such as risk assessment scores to help communities make decisions on where and when to make investments into those systems. Typically, they have short and long-term goals and objectives, and the plans don't change over time. They're a static paper document. As the system changes over that period of time, those plans tend to lose their effectiveness, and they eventually need to be reevaluated and updated. So the software AquaSite is an asset management software which integrates our maintenance efforts and updates those risk assessment scores and conditions in the asset management plan for water assets in real time. It also provides user configurable risk formulas and capital planning algorithms to help make better capital improvement decisions. We do have a short video which identifies more specifically what the software does. But in short, the program takes the inputs that we make into the system that we plug into our CityWorks asset management program, and automatically recalculates those risk scores and asset conditions from our plan, which does two things. It allows us to make better decisions on our investments into our water system, and B, it increases the amount of time needed before we need to do a substantial a rewrite or an update of our asset management plan. So,
This is really important to us. It's kind of nuts and bolts government that we've been moving towards since before COVID. Kind of got stopped for a while. But it has to do with that CIP plan integrated into the city works plan, which does step-by-step,
Here comes all the guys.
yeah. And then this gives us a way to analyze all that data.
is it working? Oh, sorry. Hit the wrong button.
Thanks for joining us. Today at Aquasite, we would like to share a bit about our asset management platform, AMP.
So I'm going to fast forward to the good parts.
Deployed. Traditional asset management plans are often created by engineering firms using Excel or other database tools. Asset information is gathered, and risk formulas are determined by asset class. Asset condition is added, and risk scores are generated to determine the highest risk assets. These high-risk assets are identified for the current year and can also be extrapolated for years to come. Because the information in these systems are rarely updated, the utility is left with a static plan that doesn't include updates as the system changes. Aquasite has created AMP, a cloud-based platform that connects to the source system where the asset information is stored, typically GIS, CMS, or EAM systems. It grabs the latest data and then updates the risk scores, analytics, and capital plan automatically. There are an array of benefits to the user, including an interactive GIS view to quickly find problem areas, quick, responsive, long-term capital planning, project replacement planning, and risk formula management. Using these outputs, the utility is provided with a dynamic, living plan that is always up to date and can evolve as risk factors change over time. For communities with missing data, the Aquasite team of specialists has tools available. For example, one community was able to fill in customer type, saving hundreds of hours on engineering survey work. Altogether, it took one community less than 10 hours of their time to get the system up and running. Next, we'll go into the live system. AMP provides easy access to understand the risk profile within a system and specifically target in on high-risk assets. For example, we'll look within our Analytics menu at the Asset Performance tab. We'll go ahead and filter for business risk exposure, the common metric used to identify a risk, and we'll look at all the different types of water mains in this system. Very quickly, we can come back with a distribution of what types of water mains are present and how high risk each one is. This allows us to very easily find the highest risk assets within the system, and if we click on them, the map will automatically zoom in and show in red where those assets are located and what their given risk score is. This is a way to quickly hone in on the highest risk assets, understand where they are, and be able to help develop project plans around these assets. Another feature within AMP is the ability to create long-term capital plans. Quickly here, we can show what a 20-year capital plan looks like. This is about a 12,000 asset system. And if we plot out to 2043, we can set our target year, fiscal date, as well as the yearly budget. Submitting the plan, we can very quickly find the output and see if the adopted budget is sufficient. In this case, we can see the surplus budget rolling up into 2027, where there's about $1.2 million of expected assets to be replaced. Clicking on the Download Replaced Assets button, this will give out a list of all assets to be replaced for each year and allow planners to be able to start project planning around these assets.
So that should give a kind of an idea what the program's capable of. I know a lot of the water main replacements and some of the capital projects that we do on the water main system are relatively expensive. So, you know, this tool being $5,000 a year, we feel pretty comfortable will help us make sure that when we do make those investments, we're making the investments that make the most sense for our business risk. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
So we have a water and sewer system currently that's evaluated over $100 million. And we could, if you wait till, a lot of it was put in at the same time within a 20-year period. If you had to replace all of that at once, you just couldn't do it. It would cost prohibitive. This says this is a 12,000 asset system. I think we have more than 12,000 assets tracked. How many assets are we tracking?
I need to look at our data. It refers to specific segments of water main and how they're broken up. I'm not certain.
Okay, it'd be similar to this one then. But, we did this 2 years ago, but we can't keep on doing it over and over and over and over again. And we have to start feeding money into the system where it needs it. And we don't want to replace water main that is still good, but we can't wait for 10 more years and then find out we have to replace $20 million worth of stuff. So we've got to do it gradually as we go along. So that's what this is about. Any questions? Okay, I've got a motion by Trustee Kelly. I have support by Trustee Frazier. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is a discussion on a proposal from O'Donnell Electric to install fire alarm system in the Township Hall and Police Department.
I move that we consider approval of the proposal from O'Donnell Electric to install a fire alarm system at the Township Hall and the Police Department.
Support.
Okay. Treasurer Bud. Director?
Thank you. In May of 2023, the Township Board approved a proposal from O'Donnell Electric to install a fire alarm system in Township Hall and the Police Department, which was intended to bring the entire facility into compliance with current code standards. During the design and review of the project, it was identified that there were additional items that needed to be added to the scope of work to bring the building into compliance. Due to this, O'Donnell Electric prepared a revised proposal for the Township Board's consideration. The original proposal included the installation of what's called notification devices. These are horn strobes and lights, which their function is to let occupants of the building know that there's a fire going on. It was discovered as we moved through the review process that the township facility also needed to have installed a large number of what they call initiating devices in several areas as well. These initiating devices, they're designed to sense fire and smoke. So they're like heat sensors, smoke detectors, those type of things. Due to this, the cost of the project has increased fairly considerably. The final project will include the wiring and installation of both the initiating and notification devices. I wanted to talk a little bit about procurement. The township's purchasing policy typically requires that sealed bids are required for expenditures over $20,000. As we discussed at our May meeting, O'Donnell Electric is the contractor installing the fire alarm system for the community center project. And due to this, we recommended approval of the additional work back in May. Identified the cost increase associated with the additional amount of work. Staff initially made efforts to put the project out to bid. In the bid process, which is a standard process, we would normally have a mandatory pre-bid meeting where we'd have the contractors come, walk through the building to make sure they knew what they were getting themselves into when they put the bid in. This pre-bid meeting was attended by O'Donnell Electric and one other company. After the pre-bid meeting, the other company let the township know that they would not be submitting a bid for the project. So due to this, staff is recommending to move forward with the proposal from O'Donnell. The total cost of the project with the added scope of service listed in the original memo is $129,987. We actually spoke with O'Donnell Electric and the fire marshal, and we were able to reduce the number of devices a little bit. So the price has actually come down to $122,431.80. This price includes the design, cost of the devices, and the installation. Township staff is recommending that the township board approve the proposal from O'Donnell Electric in a not-to-exceed amount of now $122,431.80 to complete the improvements to the fire alarm monitoring system for the building. This concludes my summary, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So I do my summations for myself, for everybody, I guess.
Go for it.
So we have a fire alarm system in the community center. If we want a fire alarm system here, because we actually don't have one, not a really good one, or even up to code. So problem is, the fire alarm system in this side of the building has to talk to the fire alarm on the other side of the building, because if there's a fire on the other side of the building building's got to know that there's a fire. Especially on weekends, if this place is burning down over here, they got to know in the community center to get out. So it's just proprietary, and there's only, there's only one guy that's got that system, so he's got the franchise. Any questions? Okay, I've got a motion by trustee Frazier, supported by treasurer Bell. Hearing no further discussion? Who? Treasurer Bud. Sorry, Treasurer Bud. Hearing no further questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is to discussion on to consider approval of concurring with the recommendation of the review committee to accept a proposal from Wade Trim for the completion of the Safe Streets and Roads plan. Can I get a motion?
Supervisor, I make a motion that we approve the recommendation. Which one? I don't.
Number 5.
5. Oh, on this one. To accept from Wade Trim for the completion of the Safe Streets and Roads for All Comprehensive Act Plan.
Support.
What?
Actually, we're on number 6 because number 1 was,
Oh, we changed it, okay.
oh, she read the wrong one? Okay. Trustee Frazier, are you?
Number 5 on the old sheet.
It's on number 5 on the old sheet, 6 after we.
All right,
did the number one.
did you read number 5?
Yeah.
Okay. She did not?
So which one are we on?
All right, I couldn't hear you very well.
Oh,
Discussion on to consider approval of concurring with the recommendation of the review committee. Is that the one you read?
Yes.
Yes.
Then I've got a motion. Do I have a support?
Support.
Okay, I've got support. Director,
Thank you.
ask a question. Is there a reason why we have to take these never mind, keep on going.
Okay.
I was gonna add the next one.
Executive Director Coburn extends her apologies as she was unable to attend this evening. So in 2022, the DDA applied for a U.S. Department of Transportation Safe Streets and Roads for All grant, and in February 2023, the DDA was made aware that the township was awarded the grant in the amount of $384,900. The purpose of the grant and project is to develop a community-wide action plan that incorporates significant traffic calming and safety improvements on township roads for vehicles, non-motorized users, and pedestrians. Specifically, the plan will look at road corridor safety improvements, traffic operations improvements, public education, and traffic enforcement. After the award, staff developed and published an RFP and received proposals from 6 firms. The review committee, made up of township staff and DDA board members, reviewed and scored the proposals and have recommended Wade Trim for the completion of the plan. This recommendation was approved by the DDA Board of Directors at their October 24th meeting, and they are now requesting the Township Board concur with this recommendation as well. In addition to myself, we also have Lori Pollock from Wade Trim here. She is their Transportation Area Lead.
Please. I already know there's going to be a question you're going to get.
Okay.
Left-hand turn.
Okay.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. Are there any questions regarding the SS4A grant or proposal?
Trustee Martin, do you have a question about potential traffic signals and things like that, right? Part of it?
That might be one of the questions. Actually, what all does tell the public what the grant involves and what it covers, the scope of the grant? And then my part two question would be left turn signal at corner of Tyler and Belleville Road.
The corner of Tyler and Belleville Road?
Correct.
Yes, so we will be looking at overall township safety related to motorized traffic as well as non-motorized users. One thing that we will be focusing on is Belleville Road. That's been identified as a major focus area in safety. And we will be looking at all of the crashes in the township as well as on Belleville Road. So where there's deficiencies or specific patterns of crashes, say with left turns, things like that, things like signals or left turn signals may be identified as treatments that could really improve safety. So we will be looking at signalization as part of the treatments.
Now, you mentioned crashes. They would be looking at the number of crashes, but also what about the traffic flow and wait times to turn, and sometimes you're not able to turn on that signal when it's on the green light. You can't turn sometimes. Is that going to be looked at also as, pattern, traffic flow and patterns, not just crashes? Because crashes, it may not be enough crashes, but you have a backup of traffic and cars that don't have the ability to turn an appropriate amount of time without taking, extreme chances. I think that's the major issue here.
Yes, so there actually is another project that we'll be looking into as well, the Belleville Planning Study. And as part of that analysis, we will be doing an in-depth operational analysis if approved. There was a grant, a SEMCOG grant that the township was receiving. In relation to that study, we had proposed collecting counts and doing in-depth traffic modeling, which would be looking at specifically those types of issues. Those would not be part of this type of analysis that's in the safety action plan. We won't be doing modeling of the entire township, but we will be looking at, like I said, the crash data for the entire township, and then looking at specific areas where there's safety issues.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? This is part of the federal grant? Yes. Okay. So this is one of two federal grants we're dealing with today, right? The $384,000?
Yeah, so this is the Safe Streets for All grant for $384,000. And then the next agenda item is the actual contract with Wade Trim to complete those services.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I have a motion by Trustee Frazier, supported by Trustee Boynton. Hearing no further questions, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Discussion, item number 7. Discussion on to consider approval of a personal service agreement with Wade Trim for the completion of the Safe Streets and Roads for All Action Plan in the amount of $481,000. Have I got this backwards? Because it seems like it is.
Professional services.
No.
Okay, go ahead. I need a motion.
Through the chair.
Trustee Martin.
I make a motion to approve the professional services agreement from Wade Trim for the completion of the SS4A Safe Streets and Roads for All Comprehensive Action Plan, Safe Van Buren Roads and Streets Action Plan in the amount of $481,900.
Support.
Okay, go ahead, Director.
Thank you. So before you is an agreement with Wade Trim to provide professional services to the township and the DDA to develop the plan that we just discussed. The total cost of the project is $481,900, which can be broken down as follows. $384,900 of it will be covered by U.S. Department of Transportation grant funding. The remaining $97,000 is a local match requirement, which will be split between the township and the DDA. This grant is a reimbursement-based grant, and it is going to be expended out of the township's landfill fund. There's also going to be a revenue line item for it as well there that will incorporate the $384,900 reimbursement. This concludes my summary. Myself and Ms. Pollock are available to answer any questions.
Obviously, we're expanding a little bit here. Ms. Pollock, this raw data that you determine, that you develop, we can use that to go get grants, can't we?
Yes, in reference to the crash data? Yes, so.
In fact, most of it, because we're looking at quite a few intersection updates and.
Yes, definitely. There are different safety grants that once we come up with the action items or the implementable treatments, say they're signals or maybe pedestrian treatments like rapid flashing beacons, things like that, there's different types of grants that we can go after we identify those. And most of the time, they would like to see some kind of study or something associated with those. So pieces of this action plan will be able to be used to potentially get other funding on projects to implement these actions.
Okay. So the expansion of Belleville Road, intersection lighting, left-hand turn signals, maybe a Robson Road light, maybe an MDNR, Quirk Road light. It goes on and on. This is just another card that's got to drop so that we can keep on going after these grants. And quite frankly, it's extremely expensive to go after these grants. So we're very thankful for Congresswoman Dingell, who has helped us out by getting us this $400,000 plus grant. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. No? Okay, I've got a motion by Trustee Martin and supported by Trustee Frazier. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Moving on, we have no reports today. Public comment for non-agenda items. At this point in time, I'm asking the public if they have any public comment for non-agenda items. That includes online. Any public comment for non-agenda items? Deputy Supervisor.
No comments from our public participation link.
Okay. Board comments. Does anybody from the board want to comment?
Through the chair.
Yes.
I don't know if this is the proper time to bring this up, but I would like to give a congratulations and a hats off to Director Renault and Deputy Director Tammy Doring, Director Elizabeth Renault and Deputy Director Tammy Doring, for their efforts, their hard work, their tenacity in the improvement of the Belleville Area Museum. It would not have been in the shape that it is now, and it would not be open now had it not been for their hard work and efforts in behind it. So I just want to say thank you so very much on behalf of the township. Thank you so very much for all of your efforts. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not allowed in the building anymore. So they want me to get the full effect on December 2nd when they open. I guess it's going to be amazing, they say. So I'm looking forward to it. Okay.
You can't move forward unless you know your past.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? No? 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 Okay. On call for adjournment. I need a
So
motion.
moved.
Boynton? Martin? No discussion? All in favor of adjourning? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.